We are live from the Major League Baseball playoffs. I'm the prop queen, Ariel Epstein. First pitch of the first game today between the Tigers and the Guardians is 1:08 p.m. Eastern time. So I wanted to make sure to get ahead of it. I know it's going to be tough to get a lot of you because you're all at work today. But why work? We've got baseball in the afternoon, playoff baseball. That's meaningful. I can't wait. I have action on this game. I have a decent thought of how I think this game's going to go, and I'm glad that my friend Gavin Williams is pitching, so he can't watch me talk about it. I've got 2 series bets. I've got a prop for tonight. I'm going to give you guys some of the best hitter-pitcher matchups in case you want some offensive player props. And then we'll go through some of the stats to know. I've spoken to DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Superbook. I don't know why I was blanking. I kept saying Westgate. Superbook at the Westgate in Vegas. So we've got a Vegas perspective. We've got the big DraftKings FanDuel perspective. Of course, DraftKings is a little bit biased towards Massachusetts, so you'll see what I'm getting at. But I'll talk needs for all the books as well. In case you don't know, I am wearing my Derek Jeter vintage World Series winning t-shirt. I've got to bring the vibes. I will be at Yankee Stadium tonight. Yankees, Red Sox. 2 lefties on the mound. Garrett Crochet for the Red Sox. Max Fried for the Yankees. Super pumped for tonight's game. I think the vibes are going to be absolutely electric at Yankee Stadium for Yankees, Red Sox. Which, by the way, I thought it was a little strange about the whole thing that, there's this whole thing going on that everyone's pissed that the Yankees are only... only allowing tickets to be sold to people within their area. Well, I tried to follow up with that with a few people. Supposedly, a lot of teams do it, guys. We've seen it before. A lot of teams do this. So it's not just the Yankees where they kind of limit your ticket sales, but you've got these third-party apps, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of Red Sox fans making their way to Yankee Stadium. Tonight's the only game I'm going to be going to because it's the Jewish holiday tomorrow and Thursday. So it's Yom Kippur and I'll be fasting. So that's not fun. Okay, let's get to some of the needs. We'll talk, let me just tweet out that spoke to a bunch of sports books talking MLB playoff. Who are the books rooting for and against this week and in the MLB playoffs? Tune in now. We'll start with my good friend John Ewing over at BetMGM, who said, a lot of the NL teams are a liability for us. We're cheering for the American League. Yankees winning is their best outcome right now. Dodgers and Brewers are the worst for them over at BetMGM. Over at DraftKings, my friend Steve Buchanan told me, and he's obviously DraftKings, just a reminder, is based in Boston, Massachusetts. So they are heavy Red Sox. So the biggest liability for DraftKings is the Dodgers and the Red Sox. They don't know yet the series for the wild card. When it came to John Murray over at the Westgate, he said that the worst outcome for them is the Cubs. So they are heavily rooting against the Cubs over at the Westgate. And they also said that they need the Yankees as well. So I thought that was interesting. And John Murray and I both like the Tigers and the Padres. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But Tigers and Padres was something that John Murray said that he would also be putting his money on. We've got some player props and matchups to watch in the games for tonight. And remember, first pitch, 1 o'clock for the Guardians and Tigers. Aaron Judge is only hitting 200 against the lefty Garrett Crochet, 3 for 15, 2 home runs, 11 strikeouts. Ahmed Rosario, if he plays, hitting 667 against Garrett Crochet, 6 for 9 with a double and a homer. Cody Bellinger hitting 357 against Crochet, 5 for 14 with a home run. Paul Goldschmidt only hitting 133 against Crochet, 2 for 15 with 5 strikeouts. For the game at 1 o'clock, Gleyber Torres hitting 200, 2 for 10 with 5 strikeouts and a walk against Gavin Williams. Riley Green, 2 for 14, hitting 143 with a home run and 2 walks, 5 strikeouts against Gavin Williams. Spencer Torkelson, 1 for 10 with a double and 6 strikeouts against Gavin. Wenzel Perez, 2 for 14 with a double, 4 strikeouts, hitting 143 against Gavin Williams. And Zach McKinstry, 1 for 12 with a double and 5 strikeouts against Gavin. For the Reds pitchers, Hunter Green, he's getting Tommy Edman today, and Tommy Edman has absolutely destroyed Hunter Green in his career. 7 of 18, 1 double, 6 Ks, but that's hitting 389. On the Red Sox side of things, sorry, I'm going out of order. Red Sox side of things, Alex Bregman hitting 385, 5 for 13 with a home run against Max Fried. Jaron Duran's 0 for 10 against Max Fried with 5 strikeouts. Trevor Story, 4 for 16 with a double and 2 home runs, 5 strikeouts against Fried. That's a .250 batting average. Padres pitcher Nick Pivetta, Dansby Swanson hitting 294 against him. That's 10 for 34 with a double, 2 home runs, 11 strikeouts. Ian Happ hitting 300 against Pivetta, 3 for 10 with a double and 6 strikeouts. Kyle Tucker hitting 167, 2 for 12, a double, and 3 strikeouts against Pivetta. Justin Turner hitting 625, 5 for 8, 2 doubles, 2 homers against Pivetta. Luis Arraez against Shota Imanaga hitting 111. That's 1 for 9 with a strikeout against Imanaga for Arraez. Gabriel Arias, 0 for 11 with 7 strikeouts against Tarek Skubal. And Jose Ramirez hitting 333, which is 12 for 36, 3 doubles, a triple, 6 Ks against Tarek Skubal. So those are some plays that you could definitely take a look at going against Skubal today and all these different starting pitchers. We could bring up some props.cash and talk through some props as well via props.cash for today's games and see what they like the most. You want to talk hits, runs, and RBI in the chat? I'll share the screen. Sharing screen. And let me just tweet out that we're going through all of props.cash. Going through the props.cash. Going through the best prop bets on props.cash for today's MLB Wild Card games. Okay, so if you want to go hitter props, because you guys know I love my pitcher props, but PRR, we've got Matt McLain has the best chance over a half a hit, run, and RBI. Best chance there on the board for Matt McLain. Cincinnati's on the road. Let's look at his road numbers. 59% of them went over. He's averaging 1.4 on the road. So that's in the last 12 games. Let's see, 2025. Gone over in 2 of 3 on the road at LA this year. Overall this year against LA, Matt McLain, 50% of games. But he's hit pretty well in LA. Hit pretty well on the road. So you could look at Matt McLain today over hits, runs, and RBI. You said J-Ram. Let's look at Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez today, hits, runs, and RBI. When he is at home this season, J-Ram's averaging 2.3. The number is 1.5. He's got good numbers against Skubal. Let's see at home against lefties. 61% at home against lefties have gone over, averaging 2.5 hits, runs, and RBI. In the daytime, that number drops to 2.3, only 53%. At home in the day versus at home at night against a lefty. So the best thing is Jose Ramirez at night at home against lefties. In the daytime, that 65% drops to 53%. So just something to keep in mind about day-night splits. I guess we could look at J-Ram real quick and see what his stats are real quick in the daytime. In the day this year, J-Ram's hitting 256 at night 298. So just something to keep in mind about Jose Ramirez, that his day-night splits definitely are different. So make sure to always keep that in mind. Any other players that you guys want to talk about for hits, runs, and RBI? Because we could definitely talk about it. I forgot to write the newsletter this morning. I am so sorry. I don't know. I literally was like, how do I have so much time this morning? And then I realized I didn't write the newsletter. Gosh, what an idiot. Okay. Anyway, I'll maybe write it for the later games. Trent Grisham for the Yankees. Spencer Steer for the Reds. It likes this one. Let's look at Spencer Steer. Half a hit. Oh, minus 160. Nope, that's out. That's definitely out. Also, like Mid-Major Matt said, you could look to some unders as well for pitchers, which we'll get to. Jazz Chisholm hits, runs, and RBI. At home against a lefty at night. Look at Jazz. At home against a lefty at night, averaging 2 hits, runs, and RBI. Going over in 73% of games at home against the lefty at night. He's 0 for 5 against Garrett Crochet. But let's see what he does at home at night against the Red Sox. 70%. 7 of 10. Jazz Chisholm could be a good hit, run, and RBI for tonight against the Red Sox. I'm just going through the props.cash board and seeing where else hits, runs, and RBI-wise you could get some value. See some other overs that we could look at. Anyone else have anybody? Some of the names, too, that we looked at in the head-to-heads. Let's see, the 1 o'clock game coming up. Ooh, nobody has good numbers against Gavin. Tarek. Yeah, J-Ram we just went through. His day numbers scare me a bit. You could look to some unders as well when it comes to some Detroit hitters, but I kind of like Detroit today. You're welcome, Sean Michael. Alex Bregman could be interesting. Let's look at Alex Bregman. He has really good numbers against Max Fried in his career. Away at night. Ooh, and Bregman's doing well at Yankee Stadium. Look at this. 67% of games this year are dating back to 2024. Let's see. Now we're freezing. 2024, 2025. But all 3 games at Yankee Stadium, Bregman went over his hits, runs, and RBI this year. And when he is just in general on the road at night against a lefty, Bregman's hitting over in 60% of games. 2.2 is what he's averaging, Bregman. Hits, runs, and RBI on the road at night against left-handers. So Bregman could also be somebody that you could look at. Let's see. And then let's look at, here, I guess the National League as well. Ian Happ. Oh, that was one on the hits, runs, and RBI board. Ian Happ right here. So he's at 1.5, plus 115 to the over. Ian Happ at home against a righty. That's a day game, right? Day game. 3 o'clock. Meh. I think the day game scares me a little bit. Night would have been better. Day game for Ian Happ scares me. But there is value there for a player that, I mean, he is, what did it say? Ian Happ, 3 for 10. Meh. Okay, Justin Turner, also a very interesting one. Does he even? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so those are some of the hits, runs, and RBIs that I think stood out the most. Let's go to outs. A lot of overs because these are numbers. These outs numbers are low. A lot of big names on the mound. Not loving that. Not loving that. Hits allowed. Damn. Doesn't like anything really for hits allowed. Earn runs. Not much. Wow. Okay, so the outs props is where they find value. We could look and compare this to the MLB prop spreadsheet and see just kind of where we could find some value in some of these outs props, because sometimes we're going to get a good buy low number to buy high on, and sometimes we get a good number to sell high on. Starting with, let's see. So the Cubbies this year, and you could still see the board. Again, starting pitchers this season, the Cubs are allowing these starters to go about 15 outs. So Nick Pivetta, and I do like the Padres. They're on the road in the day. 4 straight on the road in the day for Pivetta. Let's see, head-to-head. At Wrigley. Okay, not great at Wrigley. Only went 9, but it's okay. I don't know, 4 straight on the road. Pivetta's got the experience. I could see him going 15. 5 innings from Pivetta. Let's see how many pitchers recently have gone over against righties. Last 10, not many. This season, righties, 42% went over. 60% in the last 20 have gone over against the Cubs. So Pavetta could be an over option if you do like the Padres today. Matthew Boyd, let's see. These 14.5s are really freaking low. .2, so that's 16, 17 outs is what starters average against the Padres this year. Okay. Let's look at what starters have done. Matthew Boyd's a lefty. Last 20, 50%. Season, lefties, 62% went over. Is the wind blowing out? Anyone know what the wind's doing at Wrigley today? Sean Michael probably thinks he knows. Can't risk runs in a 3-game series. I know. I don't trust Boyd. I'm just saying. Those numbers are crazy in the regular season, but I do like the Padres, so I'm not going to bet Boyd. I'm just trying to go through and not be super biased. I really think that Gavin – oh, God, I'm so sorry to say this. I really think that Gavin Williams having to face the Tigers 3 straight times after going back-to-back great games against the Tigers, it's very scary for me. I think Gavin's going to get into some trouble early. He's at 14.5. I think he starts getting into trouble in the 4th, and it's a matter of if he can get out of the jam. Like, that's usually when Gavin has an off day, Gavin starts to struggle in the 4th inning. And I have to go with the team that has better bats. I know the Guardians have been hot, but you know that they are the first team since the Minnesota Twins in 1987 to go to the playoffs with a negative run differential. The only concern I have is the Tigers bullpen. So in the head-to-head matchup with the Guardians, the Tigers bullpen was a 4.12. Cleveland 1.75. Detroit's pitching was supposed to be their strength, and that scares me. But I think for these same teams seeing each other 3 straight outings, essentially, the Tigers have the better bats. They should be able to hit these pitchers a 3rd time through. I think the Guardians were just hot. I said this about the Blue Jays, but I don't have faith in the Guardians to keep this going, just strictly based off lineup. So Williams, the one thing about him, so you might be wondering like why he's all of a sudden been great, because he has been, especially against the Tigers. Gavin Williams against the Tigers this year. Let me see where I found those stats. He's allowed 2 runs it's a 1.06 ERA, 17 innings, 29 strikeouts, and 3 starts against Detroit this year. It's like he's kind of young still. Going up against Skubal, who's angry. Remember, this Guardians team knocked the Tigers out of the playoffs in a Game 5 with Skubal on the mound last year. You don't think he remembers that? And Skubal also just gave up 3 runs, but like only 1 was earned in the last outing that he pitched. Gavin's been pitching great, don't get me wrong, and it's ever since Gavin incorporated that cutter in May. His ERA has been fantastic, 2.59 final 24 starts of the season, 191 opposing batting average in that span, only second to Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So he's been pitching great. But I just feel like we got to regress to the mean a little bit. I got to go with Skubal. When you've got 3 straight starts, both Skubal and Gavin, 3 straight starts now today against the same team, I have to go with the team that has the ace on the mound, that has the better lineup overall this season. And we'll see if they lose me money again. I bet the Tigers series price at, where did I get it at? I bet Tigers to win the series because I couldn't lose enough money on Shawn Michaels' freaking Tigers losing me the division. So here's your chance at redemption. I got the Tigers minus 115 to win the series against the Guardians. So let's see. That's game 1. Game 2, Padres at Cubs. Oh, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Okay. Padres at Cubs, 3:08 p.m. Eastern time. and if you just are tuning in, John Murray from the Superbook in Las Vegas said they are rooting against the Cubs. It is like the worst result for the Superbook in Vegas is the Chicago Cubs. So I'm going to take the sportsbook side and bet another team that loses me a ton of money, the San Diego Padres, because I can't let my emotions dictate my money. Gracie, I have to text you. I have to tell you something. But I'll text you after the show. So Padres Cubs. The Padres, I'm taking over the Cubs because, one, it's a need for the sportsbook, and Vegas is always winning more than we are. And two, I just feel like the Padres, they have the experience. They have the bullpen. The Padres have everything that they need to win a freaking wild card series. I'm going to look at the recent bullpen stats for both teams. So the Padres have the best bullpen in baseball. Best ERA, 3.06 out of the pen. And then you have to scroll down, 11 on the Cubs, 3.78. Not bad. We've got the better bullpen in San Diego. I'm a little concerned about the starters, but I'm going to tell you guys what MLB says about the series. Let's see. What stands out here on the list? San Diego in the postseason for the 4th time in 6 seasons. Of course they are. These teams just met once before the postseason, but it was memorable. The Padres overcame a 2-0 deficit in the 1984 NLCS, winning the decisive Game 5. Okay, no one cares. That was a long time ago. These teams have split their 6 regular season meetings, the Cubs and the Padres, though they haven't met since April 16th. Okay, that's kind of good. Pivetta has held opponents to a 195 batting average this season, the 4th lowest for any pitcher this year. Yamamoto, Rodon, and Freddie Peralta. That's kind of funny. Rodon. Pivetta's pitched in the postseason just once, 2.63 ERA in 3 games with Boston in 2021, 1 start through 5 innings of 1-run ball in the ALCS against Houston in Game 4. Okay, that's good. He's good in the big moment, Pivetta. Lost to the Cubs at Wrigley on April 5th, his shortest start of the season, but that followed up with a 4-2 win at Petco on April 16th. Luis Arraez is on a hot streak right now, hitting .383, 8 runs with a 15-game hitting streak, longest active streak in MLB. Even without Jason Adam with a quad injury, the Padres, their bullpen, 3.06 pen ERA is the best in baseball. Mason Miller has thrown 21 consecutive scoreless innings pitched. Last run allowed for Mason Miller was August 5th. The closer, Robert Suarez, led the National League with 40 saves, 2.06 ERA, 33 appearances since July 2nd. And the southpaw, Adrian Morejon, has held lefties to a 148 batting average, 1 extra base hit, 34 strikeouts this year. Daniel Palencia has led the Cubs with 22 saves, but has pitched just twice, both in low-leverage situations since returning from a strained shoulder. Brad Keller and Andrew Kittredge each had multiple saves while Palencia was sidelined and will be in the mix. Cade Horton's unavailable with a fractured rib. The Cubs are going to turn to Matthew Boyd or Shota Imanaga for an opener. Looks like it's Matthew Boyd as the Game 1 starter. So Boyd, let me just double check. Yeah, Matthew Boyd. This is interesting. Boyd has a 5.51 ERA over his last 9 starts, but he did beat the Padres at Wrigley in April. They obviously also don't have Ramon Laureano. He had a 990 OPS against lefties this season. Kyle Tucker 1 for 11 in 3 games since returning from a strained calf. There's a chance he can return to the outfield for the first time since September 2nd. San Diego just went 38 and 43 on the road compared to 52 and 29 at home. That's not good. Okay, well, Fernando Tatis Jr. also career in the playoffs. Tatis Jr. hitting .375 with 6 home runs and 48 at bats. So you could also look there. Fernando Tatis Jr. Great numbers in the postseason. 6:00 p.m. Red Sox, Yankees. I will be there. It's the dueling southpaws. Garrett Crochet, Max Fried. The 5th time these rivals have met in the postseason, they've split those 24 games. Of course they have. Oh, God. We're not going to talk about 2003. The Yankees bullpen ranked 23rd in baseball with a 4.37 ERA, the worst of any team this year's postseason field, but they have a .53 ERA in their last 11 games. Devin Williams, career worst, 4.79 ERA. Thank you, Brewers, for giving us him. He has allowed just 6 runs in 2 1/3 across his 3 career postseason appearances with Milwaukee. Great. Can't wait for that. Let's see. Boston won 9 of 13 regular season games against the Yankees, including wins in 5 of 7 at Yankee Stadium. But the Yankees took 2 of 3 at Fenway in September. Max Fried went 6-0 with a 1.55 ERA over his final 7 starts, a stretch that began with 6 scoreless innings against the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium in a 1-0 loss. Fried was 1-1 with a 1.96 ERA in 3 starts against Boston this year. The Yankees were shut out in 2 of those 3 contests. Boston won each of Garrett Crochet's 4 starts against the Yanks. Crochet 3-0, 3.29 ERA in those 4 starts. Boston scored 30 runs in those 4 games. Jesus Christ. Stanton's career 6.62 slugging in the postseason's 4th best all time, behind Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Randy Arozarena. That's a cool stat. Aaron Judge looks to put his postseason struggles behind him. Oh boy, he's batting .165 with 5 homers and 35 strikeouts in 23 games. Judge career in the postseason, .205 batting average, 16 homers, 86 Ks, 36 walks. That's so bad. So bad. Judge in his last 30 games hitting .374, 13 homers, 35 runs scored. Judge hitting .200 with 2 homers and 11 strikeouts against Garrett Crochet. Yeah, you might see Ahmed Rosario today at third base ahead of Ryan McMahon because of his batting average, 6 for 9 with a homer against Garrett Crochet. I don't know if that lineup's out. I know they just dropped their postseason roster. Romy Gonzalez and Rob Refsnyder, both top 10 in slugging against lefties in 2025. It's kind of interesting. And then the night game, the late game, 9:00 p.m. tonight, we are getting Dodgers and Reds. It's Hunter Green up against Blake Snell. Let's see. Just so you know, fun fact, nobody's won a World Series back-to-back years in 25 years. The Yankees still the most recent to do it in 1998 to 2000. The 24-season drought is the longest in the history of all 4 major North American sports. It's kind of crazy. Well, that's because we don't, I guess, have a Mahomes or a Brady. But, hey, shows you how hard baseball is. The Dodgers were a 500 team from July 4th onwards. But they closed it out strong, winning 15 of the last 20. The Reds haven't won a postseason series since 1995 when they swept the Dodgers in the NLDS. That's crazy. The 29-season drought for Cincinnati is the longest active streak in baseball. The Dodgers have won 5 of 6 against the Reds in the regular season, including a sweep at Dodger Stadium in August. LA's won 12 of their last 15 against the Reds at home. The LA native, Hunter Green, which if you saw, it was so cute. He went on the mound yesterday before when they first got there, and he was praying on the mound. It was very cute. After losing 7-0 at Dodger Stadium August 25th, Green went 2-0 with a 2.64 ERA in his final 5 starts. Let's see what else we've got here. Ohtani's 146 runs scored this year were the most by a Dodger since Hub Collins in 1890. You can look for Ohtani to score a run, but the Reds handled Ohtani well this year. He's only hitting 120 with no homers, 3 ribbies, 7 Ks. So be careful there with Ohtani. Ohtani is slated to start Game 3 if necessary. Blake Snell, .47 ERA in his last 3 starts, allowing 1 run in 19 innings. Snell's first postseason start in 3 years. He beat the Phillies 8-5 in Game 2 of the NLCS in 2022 as a Padre. Snell is 4-3 with a 3.47 ERA in 10 career postseason starts. The Reds struggle against lefties. They were 25th in MLB in OPS against left-handed pitchers. Elly De La Cruz hit 3 homers in his final 9 games of the season, hitting .313. Miguel Andujar in his last 32 games, hitting .370. He hit .389 against lefties this year. 11 extra base hits, 17 ribbies. In regards to injury news, LA hopes Tommy Edman, who has ankle soreness, Max Muncy, lower body soreness, could be good to go. Will Smith is a question mark, fracture in his right hand. If Smith can't play, Ben Nordvet is going to see a decent amount of playing time. I think he was a Yankee. Ke'Bryan Hayes has back spasms. He missed 6 games over the final week of the year. 21-year-old rookie Sal Stewart led the Reds with 5 homers and in 55 at-bats in 18 games after being called up. So maybe he starts at third for the Reds. It's going to be cool, though, because we've got Terry Francona and Dave Roberts tonight, which might be our best managerial matchup. I know people hate Dave Roberts, but still, they worked together to help break the Red Sox curse back in 2024. I will give them a shout out. Just be careful about Ohtani just because the Reds have done well against him. But I do like any kind of Ohtani runs scored. I feel like that's a very underrated prop market for Ohtani. You could get some decent value there on Ohtani for some runs scored. Runs are scarce in the playoffs, yeah, but it's also the Dodgers. So who knows? Thank you, Sean. 10-mile-an-hour wind, so that doesn't matter in Wrigley. So the wind's not really blowing too much. If anyone has any questions, too, let me know. But let's see if there's anything else that's a good story. Anything else today? I'm just looking through, like, the MLB stats that they always send out. They just sent a bunch of, like, off-season stuff. This is about later on in this series. Later on. Okay, so I don't think that there's much to talk about anymore about the rest of these games. So today, the prop that I bet was Max Fried over 5.5 strikeouts. The Red Sox have been striking out all year against lefties. They have like an average of just over 6 strikeouts a game this year against lefty starters. I'll get the updated number on that as well. 5.5. So lefties now 22-22 over under against them. But if you look at the last few games, Jeffrey Springs, who always loses for me, had 3. Max Fried just had 6. Jeffrey Springs had 6 in the start before. Erod 4. Jose Quintillo 7. Povich only had 5. Fried's had 7 and 6 in his last few starts, so that also scares me. But Trevor Rogers had 7 also against the Red Sox. Listen, if there's any moment for Max Fried to earn his pinstripes, it's tonight against the Red Sox at home. The Yankees need it. If the Yankees could win tonight, I'd be very optimistic about them winning this series, because if it does go to a game 3, I trust the Yankees starting rotation more, even though the Red Sox bullpen is much better. And I usually like better bullpens, but the Yankees starting rotation at least could go a little bit deeper in a game 3. The Red Sox really just need their bullpen. So, like, I don't know. But the Yankees really need Max Fried to stay in the game tonight. I would rather Fried be able to give 6. And then if, like, Rodon has to implode tomorrow, then you could use your bullpen. And then you've got a couple starters ready to go for game 3. But we'll see how Aaron Boone plays it, because whatever I say, he never does. So it doesn't matter. You could look at definitely some first inning unders. I am very nervous about that Guardians-Tigers game. It's a very low 6 for 2 pitchers going a third straight game against the same lineup. That's very scary. The Guardians, maybe you could look to a team total under against Skubal. It's probably very low for a first 3, first 5. I wouldn't go further than that because it was only a 2.5, and that's a really low number for a playoff game. I mean, for any game in general. So maybe first 3, first 5, team total under on the Guardians is something you could look at. And then, like I mentioned, I have the Tigers series price at -115, and I took a shot at the Padres at +105 on the series, or +108 on the series over the Cubs. Again, the needs for the sports books, in case you were tuning in, BetMGM. Okay, I'll read it again just in case. BetMGM really needs the Yankees, and they're rooting against the Dodgers and the Brewers. BetMGM's rooting against pretty much the entire NL this postseason. They said the NL is a huge liability at BetMGM. DraftKings is rooting for the Yankees because DraftKings, of course, has heavy action on the Red Sox, but that's a bias because they're based in Massachusetts. They also need... Where is Steve's? I know he said Yankees. Oh, and the Dodgers are a big liability for them as well to win the World Series. So they need the Dodgers to lose, and they need the Red Sox to lose. And then Superbook needs the Cubs to lose and the Yankees to win. So those are just some things that you could look at if you want to be on the side of the sports book. That's the way that you can play it. But my prop today is Max Fried over 5.5 Ks. It was minus 125 yesterday. It's minus 145 today. So we'll see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else prop-wise. I would love to take some kind of outs under. Again, I think if you want to play an outs under, you could look to the under for Gavin Williams coming up at 1 o'clock. I think he's going to start getting into trouble in the 4th. But remember, he has to get an out in the 5th because he has to go 5. So if he goes 4 innings, or sorry, he has to get through the 5th. So I don't know if he gets to. It's allowed only 3.5. Yeah, but then he walks batters. It's not about just hits. Like he walks batters too. So you could take the under on Gavin outs if you want. Plus 115. What other outs props look intriguing? I think Hunter Green's juiced to the under 15.5 outs. Let me see how the Dodgers are averaging in outs right now. Dodgers averaging, what's that? Like 14 to 15 outs against starters. Hunter Green's looks really freaking good though. But let's see what Hunter Green looks like on the road at night. Ooh, a Hunter Green under is intriguing. 15.5 outs. He averages 15. 4 of 6 have gone under on the road at night. On the road at LA, he went over last year, under this year back in August. I hate that he just went under in August, though. That kills me. Recently, righties against the Dodgers. 45% have gone over this season. 53% went over. Last 20, 45%. Last 10, 30. So in the last 10, 2 of 6 have gone over. So 4 of 6 have gone under in the last 10 games against the Dodgers. 15.5 outs for Hunter Green. So that's another thing that you could look at if you want to bet against Hunter Green in his home stadium. It's up to you. But yeah, So I think that's all I've got. I'm just I came on, I was like, we've got baseball coming up at 1 o'clock. The outs props are very scary. Game 1 is the only time I sometimes do think that they will leave a pitcher in a little bit longer, but at the same time, it depends on who's tomorrow. So like my thing on Gavin, if the Guardians, like they have their essentially ace Tanner Bybee on the mound tomorrow. So if Gavin has to be pulled in the 4th, maybe early 5th inning, then they would be able to go to the bullpen because they've got their ace on the mound tomorrow. So you really have to look at who's pitching tomorrow. And if you feel like that pitcher tomorrow is someone that they want to save their bullpen for, or if they're okay with not using their bullpen today. I really hope that Max Fried could go a little bit like 6 innings, 7 innings. But I'm nervous because he's had back-to-back really good outings against the Red Sox too. Anyway, Tigers to win the series. Padres to win the series. Yankees, Max Fried over 5.5 Ks. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? My week from hell already started on Sunday. What could go wrong? Good luck to all your bets today. I hope that this was informational, and I hope this helped you guys with the MLB playoffs. I will maybe do a show tomorrow. I have to travel. I'm definitely not doing a show Thursday because it's Yom Kippur. I probably will do a show tomorrow and preview Thursday Night Football because Thursday I can't do a show because of Yom Kippur, and I will be fasting and I will be hangry. So don't talk to me on Thursday. Go Derek Jeter. Aaron Judge, home run today. Break the terrible cold streak he has in the playoffs. Just kidding. But I will be there, and I will either be really happy tomorrow or really miserable again. There's only one team that could save me at this point. It's the New York Yankees because the Ravens season's over. Good luck to your bets. See you guys probably tomorrow.